plan for rain. You know it's going to rain. You know it's going to flood. And Jesus tells us, in the bigger context, you know there's going to be a judgment. You know that everything we're involved with now will come to an end, and everyone will stand before the Lord. You know there's going to be a judgment. And if you know, knowing there's going to be a judgment, how are you going to live your life now? Because as sure as it's going to rain, there is going to be a judgment. So now Jesus goes on and he describes, what do we need to do to be ready for that day? So let's go now to verse 43. No good tree bears bad fruit, nor does a bad tree bear good fruit. Each tree is recognized by its own fruit. People do not pick figs from thorn bushes or grapes from briars. Good people bring good things out of the good stored in their hearts, and evil people bring evil things out of the evil stored in their heart. For out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. Now, Jesus says, good trees produce good fruit. Bad, evil trees produce bad, evil fruit. How do we become good trees? We want to be good trees. We want to be that tree planted by the river that produces its fruit in its season. We want to be the tree that's planted and lasts forever. How do we become good trees? Verse 39, he also told them this parable. Can the blind lead the blind? Will they not both fall into a pit? Students are not above their teacher, but all who are fully trained will be like their teacher. What you become is dependent on who you listen to. Who is your teacher? Your teacher will determine who you become. Who do we listen to? Jesus taught this now to these people, and he tells us, be careful who you listen to. Your teacher constrains who you become. Verse 37, do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you a measure pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Jesus is the good teacher. And he says, here's what you need to pay attention to. Treat God, treat others with respect. Be forgiving and generous and gracious. And if that's how you treat others, that's how ultimately you will be treated. We want to be trees that endure. As I was considering that idea, the very popular, famous book, Built to Last, came to mind. And I'd like to just share 3 little stories from here of how companies who paid attention to their core beliefs and ideology became great companies. The first is from Merck and Company, a drug company. And Merck, unlike Pfizer, another pharmaceutical company, Merck paid attention to why they were doing things. They weren't in the business just to make money. They were in the business to advance medical science and serve humanity. That was why they were in business. And their core belief was, if we pay attention to that, we will also have the money. So, Merck, a number of years back, developed a drug called Mectizan, which was a cure for river blindness. Now, of course, the people that got river blindness were not very wealthy people. And so they're not the kind of people that lived out in the areas where river blindness was a problem that could pay hundreds or thousands of dollars for this cure. And so Merck went ahead, though, they developed the drug, and they hoped that maybe some nations in which this was a problem, maybe the nations would pick up the drug and serve their community. Well, that didn't happen either. And so Merck made the decision to go ahead and give the drug away for free to these countries and people who were suffering from river blindness. And at their own expense, they delivered and gave the drugs. So, why did they do that? The president, CEO, was asked. Why did they do that? He pointed out that the failure to go forward with this product, with this drug, would have demoralized the Merck scientists. These scientists who were working for a company that explicitly viewed itself as in the business of preserving and improving human life. Why did they go forward? That's what they were about, improving human life. And to not go forward because they wouldn't make a profit was not reason not to go forward. He gives another incident. He says, when I went to Japan 50 years ago, I was told by Japanese business people that it was Merck that brought streptomycin to Japan after World War II to eliminate tuberculosis, which was eating away at the society. We did that. We didn't make any money, but it's no accident that Merck is the largest American pharmaceutical company in Japan today. The long-term consequence of such actions are not always clear, but somehow I think they always pay off. Merck had a belief that you do the right thing, and in the long term, it will pay off. Another example of a company that paid attention to its core beliefs and had core beliefs is Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson had a view that they were not in the business just to make money, but they had a view to aiding the progress of the art of healing. They had a credo that was developed by one of the original Johnsons in 1945, and then expanded by his son in 1943. And their credo had 5 basic parts. Number 1, our first responsibility is to our customers, the doctors, nurses, hospitals, mothers. That's our first responsibility. Our second responsibility is to those who work with us and for us. Our third is to our management. Our fourth is to the communities that we live in. And fifth is to our stockholders. That was their core belief and understanding, and they believe that if we live and abide by that, profits will come. Now, many of us remember the big Tylenol, was it cyanide? Cyanide scare that took place in the 1980s. And Johnson & Johnson, because they had a core philosophy that the customer is first. They withdrew all of the Tylenol, all of